Now, before we end the show, I want to talk about a new survey which should be of concern to all of us, especially women. Research shows that even as more women take up high-ranking positions or roles of leadership, trust in women leaders is falling. For some of us who aim to break through that glass ceiling, it's quite disappointing. But are you surprised? Over the next few minutes, I'll tell you why surveys like these, findings like these, only mirror the prejudice in society. They reflect our bias against women in power. Let's first talk about the survey in detail. The data was published in the Reykjavik Index for Leadership. This is an annual survey which compares how men and women are viewed in positions of power. And it clearly shows that trust in women leaders has fallen steadily throughout the year. Here are some more details. People were interviewed across G7 nations like Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom and the United States. Less than half of respondents, some 47%, said that they were comfortable with a woman as a boss. But 1 in 10 respondents said they would explicitly not be comfortable with a female boss. And no surprises here, men were more likely than women to be critical of a female leader. So what happened? How did trust in women leaders decline in all but 1 year? One word: pandemic. Just think about the last 2 years and their impact on women and their professional lives. They say it takes a village to raise a kid. When the lockdowns were imposed, that village all but vanished. Support systems crumbled, daycare and schools were shut. Women had to juggle professional and personal demands, and in most cases, they became the sole caregivers for children and the elderly at home. Their work suffered as they were constantly interrupted. And naturally, their incomes took a hit. The pandemic exposed the inequality of motherhood globally. In fact, a European Institute for Gender Equality report shows that European women's work-life balance worsened since the start of the pandemic. Many women quit the workforce altogether and never looked back. And then you wonder, why the trust deficit? Can they be blamed for it? Certainly not. But the pandemic is only part of the problem. The challenges faced by women at the workplace or in leadership roles go beyond a certain time frame. Patriarchal stereotypes continue to influence hiring decisions. There's institutional misogyny, and this exists globally. Women taking up roles in power corridors. This goes against the traditional status quo. Why trust the unknown, right? We often say workplace and public spaces are male-dominated. That's because they were traditionally created for men. So when women take charge in these roles, they are seen as dominating, aggressive, emotional. Which brings me to another important point. Gender plays a huge role to describe leaders. Just think about the language used. Men are analytical. Women are compassionate. Men may be arrogant, but women are simply inept. I'm not exaggerating. We also need to review how we perceive women in power. We all saw what happened when the Prime Ministers of Finland and New Zealand met. Let me remind you. Take a look.
Yeah, a lot of people will be wondering, are you two meeting just because, you're similar in age and, got a lot of, common stuff there, when you got into politics and stuff? Or can Kiwis actually expect to see more deals between our two countries down the line? Because
my first question is, I wonder whether or not anyone ever asked Barack Obama and John Key if they met because they were of similar age. We, of course, have a higher proportion of men in politics. It's reality. Because two women meet, it's not simply because of their gender.
We are meeting because we are prime ministers.
You heard that. Two prime ministers, decision makers, both have made news for their policies and governance. But no, the reporter was more curious about their age. And yes, we are sure the same question would not be asked to Barack Obama or John Keyes. Therein lies the prejudice. Recent global events have given us a glimpse into mindsets. Are we progressing or regressing? Look at what's happening in America. The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade has sparked a global debate. If women can't be allowed to take control over their own bodies, how can they be trusted to lead? Think about that. Let's talk about another fact that this survey throws up. In certain countries, including Japan and Germany, young people seem to hold less progressive views than older generations. So experts say they might not trust women leaders. Disappointing. So what can you do? If you're a woman watching me, I wouldn't take this survey to heart. It is in no way a reflection of your merit or your capabilities. But I will say, we all need to be aware of our prejudices. When surveys like these come out, we must ask ourselves, what can be done to fix this trust deficit? What are workplaces and governments doing about it? There's no denying that women are rising up the ranks. While this new research may be disappointing, it could also be a temporary backlash to progress. So I would say, keep fighting the good fight. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.